Hello, Paul. How you doing?
Hey, Borna. Good, and you? How are you?
I'm doing really fine. Thank you very much. So how's your day been so far?
It's been okay. It's been pretty busy so far, but yeah, enjoying it anyway.
Perfect. So what you gonna play? What you gonna sing today for us?
Okay, this first song is called Magia, and it's my first single. It's the first one that I released, and it's a song about love. Yeah, it's a song that I wrote for my then partner and now my wife, who, you know, at the time she was leaving back to our home country for 2 months, and we hadn't been together for too long, and I didn't want her to leave. So that's what this song says, and yeah, so that's what I want to play for you today.
That's perfect. And the home country, when you're saying home country, is Colombia. Am I right?
Colombia, yes, correct.
Perfect. So what is called? What's the name of the song?
The song is called Magia, which means magic.
Magic. Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready, please start.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Here we go.
Ya no quiero que te vayas. Puedo ver en ti aquel encanto que me mata. Y me olvidé las leyes del amor. Ahora me hace falta tu calor. Te quiero decir, pero no encuentro las palabras. No quiero resistir, solo me dejaré llevar donde tú quieras. Recorriéndote me pierdo amor. En tus besos tu piel, tu sabor. Pero yo trato de decir todo lo que pasa. No quiero resistir, tus movimientos me engañarán. Esa magia mortal me hace vibrar. Con cada sensación me haces cantar. Da, bi, da, bi, da, ba, da. Recorriéndote me pierdo amor. En tus besos tu piel, tu sabor. De tu cuerpo seductor. Es que me encanta cada rincón. Da, da, ba, da, da, bi, da, ba, da, da, ba, da, da, bi, da, ba, di, yeah, yeah, da, da, ba, da, da, bi, da, ba, da, da, ba, da, da, bi, da, ba, di, yeah, yeah. Me dejaré llevar, yeah. Debi dabi do di ando, daba da do re do. Debi dabi di dea dea. El corazón de nuevo me quiere delatar. Es que esta vez me va a matar. Esta noche yo siento que voy a estallar. Recorriéndote me pierdo amor. En tus besos tu piel, tu sabor. En tu sabor, tu sabor. De tu piel y cuerpo seductor. Y de tu cuerpo sabor. Dubarapá, dubarapá, dubarado, y de tu cuerpo seductor me encanta cada rincón.
Thomas!
Hello again.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Hold on.
I'm doing well. This is the second time we are going live, and which is good, which is fantastic. So, do you want to say hi to those who are watching us now and later?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are doing well over there. I'm live from Germany, Berlin, where it's 10:30 a.m. in the morning, and yeah, we're doing fine here. Almost starting the lockdown now this week. So yeah, that's it. That's the situation.
All right. Okay. So, Thomas, you're the first DJ on my show, and have I ever told? I've told you, but do you remember that when was the first time I was listening to your? Did I told you?
You told me something. Yeah. We talked about it briefly.
Okay, so I work as an interpreter here in Australia, and work with different organizations. There was a day that I was working in, and I was very frustrated and a really busy day. Sooner I left the prison. Actually, I got into my car and I was looking for a different type of signs, and then your one of your tracks actually showed. It's Thomas Gold, which is called Someone New, and it says like Someone New by Thomas Gold and Raiden.
Raiden, yeah, that's right.
Raiden. And then I started listening to it, and then other tracks. So I found that you're very creative, and I loved it. And then I'm glad I found you on Instagram. Then I've sent you an invitation. So tell me about that track. I know it's quite old, but just tell me about that track.
I mean, it's quite old. It's I wouldn't say it's quite old. It's kind of like a few years old, but to me it's still fresh. But anyway, the story is Raiden is a guy from South Korea, and I knew a little bit about him before we met the first time, which was in Miami during the Winter Music Conference, which is every year at the end of March, where people gather from all of the world, like music lovers, producers, DJs, the whole music industry gets together and spends actually a week in Miami, which is not too bad. And yeah, that's when I met Raiden for the first time. Really nice guy, and I respected him a lot for what he had done before. And he's actually kind of like a superstar in South Korea already. And yeah, he told me that he loves what I'm doing. He liked my style. So we had a coffee together, I remember, in the afternoon, and yeah, we were talking about like doing something together. So we started sharing ideas, and we were both quite excited about doing a project together, like Germany and South Korea. And at the end, it turned out really well. We got along very well. He's a really nice guy, and the whole setup was cool. And it didn't take us too long to create that song. We took I think 6 to 8 weeks until we had the final version, which is kind of like within this kind of situation where we are so far from each other, is kind of cool. And of course we did not sit together in the studio. We exchanged the data over the internet all the time, like going online on WhatsApp, on calls, on video conferences, and sending back and forth the production. But it was a nice process, and yeah, it was really cool. I'm happy to have done this with Raiden.
Me too, because I love that track. So that was so cool. And also I listened to another track which he released in 2019 and called Wildest Dream. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. And I found this track quite, like, again, different different track to the rest of what I heard or listened from you. And it's more chilled and different. Can you talk to me about that, please?
I think you're not talking about Wildest Dream. I think you're talking about Magic, maybe.
Yes,
maybe
sorry.
you confuse those. But because Magic is really totally different from anything else I've done during my career. It's kind of like a very chilled out track. It has a lower tempo and it has a very poppy approach. And yeah, it's actually the most successful of my most successful track on Spotify. And it was a very cool experience because the singer, the girl, she's from Nashville in the States, and she's actually a folk singer. So she was never into that kind of like electronic dance music area, what I'm actually doing. And we got together, our management contacted each other and they put us in touch, and I had this demo from her with Magic, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. I have to do something about it, but I cannot go the normal road, which I would normally do, you know, like the production style I would normally pick. So I said, hey, can we try something different? And that's how it all started. And she was super happy with it. And we ended up shooting a video in South Africa at the end together for that track. So it was a really nice story and very great experience. And I'm still looking for kind of a follow-up to this. You know, I haven't found the track or the song I would put in the same like vibe and area. So I'm still looking for that, and I'm open for any ideas.
Okay, fair enough. I love it. I love that track also. And sorry, could you please put a volume a little bit low? I can't hear myself.
Better?
Yes, thank you. Thomas, this question I often or always ask my guests, which I find is quite interesting for me to know. I want to take you back 2 years ago when you tell me where were you born and what sort of family you grew up in, and why DJ? Why DJing? I want to know how you became familiar or introduced this career to you.
Yeah, actually, I was born in the southern part of Germany, which is close to Munich. And I grew up in a very small, I would call it village, not even a town. And yeah, when I was 7, I started playing keyboards because I remember that my mom, she took me to this like promotional event where they played, they showed people like electronic organs. And I saw this guy demonstrating what he could do with an electronic organ. And I told my mom, hey mom, I want to do this. I want to be able to do this as well. I was 7. So she got me lessons, and actually I had lessons from the age of 7 until I was 15. And yeah, that was the beginning of my, I would say, music career. And when I was like 14, 15, I got into club music, house music. I bought my first vinyl record when I was 14 years old. And that was also the time when I started to DJ at my friends' parties. So I had like 2 CD players next to each other, not a real DJ thing, but it was kind of like that kind of stuff. So I tried to entertain the people, and nobody really cared at the end, but I was having fun. And for me, it was like the first steps in my DJ career. And I remember when I was 15, I got my first real synthesizer. It was a Yamaha DX11. I bought it and I was so excited because it was totally different from the electronic organ where you have some presets, you know, where you can just put these old school sounding sounds. But that was a real synthesizer. Oh my God, I was so excited. And I bought a little sequencer, which is a machine which enables you to record your sound from the synthesizer into that and play it back. Very low quality, very beginner stuff, but you know, I couldn't afford more. But that was the start of my producer career as well. And during the years, I kept like spending money for my gear. So I grew I grew into the gear and into the production techniques. And also I tried to be a DJ. And yeah, but actually the first ever DJ gig or residency lasted for only 1 night. So because I kind of like failed during the first time I played in a real club. And I can give you a short story about that. It was I was 18 years old, and there was a club in my in the neighbor village, and I applied for the job as a DJ, and the owner was like, "Okay, you can try. I have a slot, and come on the 1st of January, which is a very quiet day in Germany because everybody's out for New Year's Eve, but the day after, you know, it's not much going on." So I was like, "Okay, that's my chance," and I went to the club, and it totally failed. First of all, it was half empty. Second, I couldn't really drive the crowd, so I really had difficulties to find my sound, to really connect to the people. It all went wrong. And of course, at the end, the owner was like, "Okay, you don't have to come back. Thank you. And see you sometime again." So yeah, I mean, it was a bad experience, but at the end, it motivated me to get even better and to really learn what I wanted to do. So I stepped back and I just took my time, a year or so at home. I practiced DJing. I tried to learn how to create a certain kind of vibe. I listened to other stuff from I mean, at that time there was no YouTube videos, but I tried to get like mixtapes from other DJs. So I just practiced and learned. And around a year and a half later, I applied for another DJ job at another club, and they gave me that night. It was a Thursday night, and they were like, "Okay, we're trying to open up this night because they only had Friday and Saturday, so they wanted to give Thursday a shot." And they were like, "Okay, you can do this." And how did it end up? I was the resident there for 5 or 6 years, and I got from Thursday to Friday to the Saturday. So it was actually worth having this bad experience in the beginning and taking my time to learn it. It took a while, and but at the end, it just all paid off.
Oh my God! Wow. So, well, as you mentioned, and we were talking actually, you've experienced working as a great DJ over the years. And I'm sure when you started DJing back then, actually, no one had much clue about what really DJ does. How would you interpret your job as a DJ?
I think a DJ, first of all, a DJ is there to entertain the people, to give people the best time they can have in a club once he's there. So that means technically you play music for other people. You have to pick what you play. But then there's the emotional aspect, which means you have to read the crowd. You have, in my opinion, you have to see what people are about. What's the vibe in the club? What do they need? What do they want? How can you actually entertain the people? I mean, it doesn't mean that you have only to play what they want, but of course you have your certain style as a DJ, which you always should have. You should stand for kind of like a certain sound. And you bring that to the club, but within that sound range or whatever you have or pool, you should pick the tracks which fit at that time into the club for the club. Because sometimes you can play this track and it works perfectly at that night, but the other night it doesn't work at all. So it's just like getting in touch with the people, or at least trying to read the crowd, and then to adjust what you're doing. What you're playing. And so for me, it's, as I said, it's first of all, it's entertaining the people, but also this is very rewarding because if you see people are having fun, the audience is like dancing, jumping around to your music, to the music you're playing, it's amazing. It's super cool. And if it's your own track that you're playing, it's even better because normally you spend a lot of time in the studio. That's what you see here behind, you know, this is the place I'm working at. And I'm by myself most of the time. But when you go out to the clubs and have a real crowd in front of you that kind of really reacts to what you're doing, this is super rewarding. So the job is giving people best time, but you get a lot of stuff back for that.
Okay. That's very understandable. What you said is very important. Communicate and read the crowd, which is very important actually, and that's interesting. One of the most important elements in your career as a DJ is being creative all the time because the competition is quite high. Not only in Germany, everywhere. So what do you do to keep yourself updated and creative? Because what I believe, so being DJ is all about creating something new. And you tell me, what do you do?
I mean, first of all, yes, you have to be creative. You have I mean, as a DJ, you have your pool of records you bring to a club. That means once you're in the club, the creativity means like picking things or choosing or selecting music out of a pool which you bring. And it might be on your hard drive, on your USB. So you bring the tracks and the music on a kind of like storage medium or a CD or whatever on your laptop to the club, and you pick the tracks there. But for me as a DJ, it also is a lot about being a producer, because nowadays you can be a good DJ, but having a career as a DJ also means that you have to be a producer yourself. If you look 20 years back or 15 years back, it was maybe different. You didn't have necessarily to be a producer. You could all just be a great DJ and then you could have a great career. But nowadays people want more. They want to see this guy's really producing his own music. They want to connect some music to the guy who's actually DJing. So being creative as a DJ means be creative in the studio, create new music, be always on the edge, you know, like try to make something, create something new, something interesting, something people haven't heard before, which is not always super easy, but at least be up to date. And yeah, find your own style, find your own niche. That's also a big part of the creativity which we need to have as DJs, you know, like we have to find our place in the world, because of course, you know, there's so much music out there and so many genres and styles and vibes. And you have to find, as a DJ, you have to find your own kind of like place, your niche, which defines also your brand and your reputation. And that's why, for example, club owners or promoters would book you for their club. You know, they know, okay, Thomas stands for this kind of sound. We want to have that sound. So when he comes, we can be sure that we get this kind of sound. And this is because I'm trying, or I'm constantly trying to brand myself, you know, to give my name and my DJ brand kind of like a definition, a sound that you can connect with. And that's a lot of creativity which you actually have as a DJ and a producer every day in your life. And inspiration comes from anywhere. As you ask, where does the inspiration come from? I take my inspiration from listening to music, from talking to people, from going out, you know, like seeing people perform, seeing what they're doing. Then sometimes I just get a new synthesizer software or something for my studio, which kind of like inspires me because it's new and I find ideas which I haven't found before. And sometimes just sitting in the studio with people, you know, playing around with sounds and trying out stuff. So inspiration can be anywhere. You just have to make sure you soak it up, you know.
Wow, very, very good explanation. And I think you can do it as a very experienced DJ over the years. It's not something easy, you know what I mean? I'm sure you fail a lot, you got up again, failed again, and you know, got up again. And now you know probably the taste of your audience or listeners, which is very important, I mean, in this regard. So due to COVID-19, I mean, this is crazy, but you know, you're just locked down again in Europe. And anyway, due to the COVID-19, which has a huge negative actually gear and impact particularly on entertainment and sport, how do you survive financially these days? This was one of also the questions that people ask, like, because, you know, lots of actors or production stopped, and because your career as a DJ depends on the events and concerts. So what do you do nowadays, which I can't imagine can be very difficult?
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. COVID kind of like hit me and the whole, all of the DJs and performers worldwide, like really hard from the first day. Our income went to zero. Our income from performing and from playing shows and being live, and the income I make from performing is like 80% of my income at all. So that means it hit hard. And I just saw a guy in Germany talking about, he's a big artist, and he talked about the music community and the live community in Germany. And only in Germany we have 1.5 million people being in the live industry, there might be stage and stage production managers, you know, artists, of course, then like instrument players, also lighting guys, video guys, everyone who's involved. That's 1.5 million people only in Germany. So the impact is kind of like huge. And all of us, we just lost our main source of income. So yeah, I mean, for me, I tried to find my own solution to that. So I sat down and was like thinking, okay, what can I do best, or what can I actually, what's my asset? And so I kind of like realized an idea which I was working on for the last couple of years. I had it in my head, but I never actually did it. And Corona was like the point where I said, okay, I have to do it. So what I'm doing right now, I created a new company together with a partner, and we're actually setting up a community and let's say a marketplace for producers, for electronic music producers all over the world. And my job is like giving out my experience, my knowledge, my contacts, and using my network to share this with the people out there, because I know there's a lot of producers and beginners and mediates and whatever, like who could use someone to help them. And for example, when I'm running my label, which I started like a year ago, I get a lot of requests from young producers. Hey, I have this production, it's 70% done, but I cannot get it finished. Can you help me? You know, there's a lot of like requests like that. And for me, it was turning this kind of thing into like a business model, so I can help people, I can make a little bit of money, and I can actually act against COVID and keep my business running. And right now we are a team of 8 producers and mixing engineers, and there's a graphic guy in the team here in Berlin. We work together hardly on building up the community on the platform. We sell stuff for producers like samples and presets and templates, which you can buy in a shop. But the main thing is that we do mentoring and coaching, so people can come to us and book me or my team or both of us for video conferences, for written feedback on their productions, for help in any kind of like way. And we start at very low budgets, because I know many people don't have that much money, but we can still help, you know, and why not? So I think it's a good thing. And we are having the first guys already in the program right now. And the feedback is amazing so far. I'm really happy that I finally started this thing. So yeah, that's my way of fighting COVID, and maybe I can get a lot of people out there on board, and let's fight it all together, because we're all the same board at the end. And who knows when this is going to be over.
I love the way you're talking. It's very positive. So in such circumstances like that, many people who lost their jobs or career actually due to COVID-19. Does the German government actually help artists financially at all?
The problem is actually no. I mean, for the artists, because we don't have an organization which actually defends us, you know, let's say the hotels and bars and restaurants, they get their support, you know. But for the artists, I mean, the thing is, when COVID started, we got like a little bit of money from the banks, so they even could support guys like me a little bit, but in a very limited way. So it's helped us get through the first 3-4 months, but then it's not looking really bad. And I'm talking to a lot of friends and DJs and artists, and everyone has the same kind of like problem. And some of them just like went back to other jobs. They just had to quit their artist career. I just had a DJ. He said like, hey man, I maybe could stand it for 6 months, but now if it's going on like this, I'm going to quit. I'm going back to my old job by the end of the year, because I just cannot live this way. And others try to fight the financial problems with new business ideas, and like I did. And I have friends who do similar things, like setting up something new. And it's kind of like hard, but I mean, at the end, you just have to stay positive and to focus on what you can do. And maybe there's a way. I don't know when this is all going to be over. Honestly, I don't think that before mid of 2021 there will be any shows on a regular basis at all. Maybe by the end of next year. So, and I'm not really counting on that anymore. So I don't want to base my future on the hope that DJ shows come back, and then because this might not be very realistic. So yeah, I mean, we're trying all our best, and I'm working on a bunch of other things. You know, I'm trying to talk to a lot of people, to get advice, to give advice, and how we can actually survive this crisis. So let's hope for the best. And yeah, it's hard, it's tough, and this is one of the toughest years ever. And I hope for everybody out there to yeah, find his own way to somehow get over it.
That's very interesting. I mean, not the sad part. That's very interesting because I always thought, so Germany is one of the country I love to visit. Unfortunately, never had the chance to go to Germany. I thought that because the art industry is quite strong in Germany, there should be union, you know, for those particularly artists who lost their jobs, you know, and there is no, and you know, their career all depends on the events, you know, to somehow help them. And I didn't know that actually there is no union in Germany in when, you know, you're struggling in such a disaster situation like what everyone's struggling right now on this planet. That's very interesting. I'm quite surprised actually that I thought only like in Australia we're struggling like that, but it seems like Germany or the world is even it's not such an organization or a union like that, because I've spoken with many artists, you know, as you're aware, from States, and they're struggling exactly the same as you or, you know, myself, artists, and which is quite disappointing. But yeah, what you were saying, always good to see the positive way, and also at the same time you're being realistic as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because no one knows actually what's gonna happen. All right. I'm scared when I'm going to say that list something because you remember what happened. So
Absolutely.
But hopefully this song's not gonna happen anything. So I want you to take us and give us a tour. Actually, the lots of questions actually came through quite a lot. So I will. If we get a chance, we go through the questions also. And let's do something. So take us with you, please, to your studio and show us around.
Okay, I thought about I could show you something I'm working on at the moment. You see my screen over there. This is the area where I'm working. Let me take the phone. So this is actually my studio, you know, like a bunch of synthesizers. This is like a corner where I have like a little bit of space when I have singers over or other people who worked with me in the studio. And now I'm gonna switch the camera. So you see my computer, my music computer, and what you can, hold on, I'm gonna just, so this should be okay. So this is, by the way, a microphone, which I use when I record vocals for my podcast. So when I speak like over the music and introduce tracks or talk about my radio show, which I do on a monthly basis right now. So this is the microphone. It's it's just in front of me here. So, and I can just push it back when I don't need it. That's it. Yeah, speakers here, another speaker over there, the same one here, the big ones here. And that's actually my main area of work here. You see some gear, the synthesizers. That's my baby. It's a real Moog. I love that kind of stuff. Then there's some stuff here. This is interfaces and stuff which actually converts sound from the computer so that it can be run through the studio here and go to the speakers and then go back, let's say, from the microphone. So these things connect everything outside the computer into the computer. And yeah, how I create my songs looks like this. All the bars, and here you see the different colors. These stand for certain instruments, for certain sounds. So, and each line here means a track, and all these tracks together make a complete song or a production. And you go from left to right, that's the timeline. And yeah, I mean, I can just show you what I'm working on right now. It's a track which is about to come out in December. And I just play a little bit of the instrumental sounds here. Can you hear that? So this is And you see the more goes on here. This is all the drums coming in now. You can hear it now. And of course, what would a track be without a vocal? Nothing. So there's the vocal. Hold on, I play you the voice here. I'm gonna love you till I lose you to someone better. I'm gonna try. So this is a track I created in Sweden. I was at a songwriting camp back in April this year. I went to studio there, and we still could travel at that time. We could get together in the studios actually, and this, all the pink stuff here is the vocal section, and we recorded that in Sweden in the studio. And it looks, if you go deeper into it, this is the waveform, you know, this is how the vocal looks like. This is kind of like a way of displaying sound in the computer, and you can see when it plays. I'm gonna love you till I lose you to someone better. So, and what I do as a producer, I put together all these tracks, these single tracks. Let's say, let me zoom out again, so you see the whole project. So the red thing here, I solo that. I play it by itself. That's the bass line. And then I have, let's say, the drum section, which is all this stuff here. So if you put all together, yeah, and I have a piano in there, for example, which sounds like this. And is the volume okay, or should I turn it up a little bit? It's okay, cool. And yeah, basically this is how I create my songs. And what takes the most time, you see there's two versions. This is the short version here, and this is the long version. So because when
what's the differences? What's the differences between short and longer version?
So actually it's just the duration of the track, because nowadays what you need is a version, let's say for radio, for Spotify, which is kind of short, like 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 45 seconds. But the long version, this is the version for the DJs who want to, let's say, mix in a track. So they need a little bit of a part in the beginning and at the end, right, where there's no singing, and which is a little bit simpler than the rest. So it's just like a beat very often and a simple instrument. So you can mix tracks into each other. You know, you have the outro, that's what we call the outro, that's the intro. And the intro plays while the outro of the first track is still playing. So you can mix track 1 and track 2, and here this is the overlapping part, and you can mix them together.
So many layers. Wow.
So this is just like doing these versions for DJs or people who want to mix radio shows or DJ mixes, but it's basically just done for that kind of purpose. I mean, sometimes you do extended versions which are different at all. That means like you want to create something which is different to the short version to give people more time to enjoy your track or whatever. But this is basically what we're doing. And yeah, let me see. For example, I have this sound here. One thing I can show you. This is the, let me just turn up the volume a bit. So I have a lot of like software which I'm using here, and I show you one of those. This is the, so you can hear, this is a Rhodes, and you can, if I just press stop, hold on, here we go. And these are the notes, you know, these bars here, these things, these are the single notes which are played, like,
oh my God.
So I can actually play on the keyboard. So these sounds, and they are created by software. This is all done with software. And for example, the Rhodes here, which you, this, I mean, it's kind of like, is it loud enough?
Yeah.
You know, this is an emulation of a real instrument, and I can just play it here on my keyboard. And this is how I actually create my sound. I put together all these single tracks piece by piece, and you construct something, and you just start with simple sounds, and you go back, you develop the whole sound, and then you build the whole track piece by piece. So this is how I create my music, and yeah, this track is gonna come out in.
Show me your studio. I want to see the different parts of your studio. Please.
Hold on a second. Let me just let me switch on the light here, and maybe I can. So this is the studio, the back corner. This is like the creative corner for people who want to write a song or sit with me and play instruments. Then we have, of course, the main area. Let me put on the other light as well. So this is how it all looks like, you know. And then let me take you outside. So we go into my next room. This is like actually one of my guys working here. You know, this is a room for vocal recording as well. So this is why we have the curtains here at the wall. The curtains mean that the room is like made acoustically perfect for singers. And yeah, it's connected with cables and stuff to my other studio, which is here, to the big room. This is, as I said, here. So then we move on to the next room. This is where all my team works.
Wow.
And due to COVID, we have like large spaces between the desks, you know. This is kind of the creative space for them. And then we have the plans here with the board. And then let me take you outside. Okay, this is the kind of like entrance and the lounge. And this is my little kitchen. Hold on. I show you. This is where the coffee machine, the most important part of the studio. Yeah, and yeah, that's like that's my area where I work, you know. Taking you back.
It's quite big space, large space.
Yeah, it's kind of spacey. I was lucky to have this room here, and but we kind of need it right now with all the people working here. So, but basically, I spent most of the time in this room here. So, hold on, let me just put the lights back to normal. Boom, here we go. Okay.
Thomas, thank you.
Back we are.
All right. So, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So one day I come and sing with this terrible voice for you.
Oh yes, please. We do a session here. Yeah, why not? There's some fun here.
I don't have a good voice. I wish I had. So my voice is.
That sounds great, man. I have ideas already for that.
So, Thomas, I know you made a point a little bit about the probably challenges that the things that were quite, sorry, been quite challenging for you as a DJ. But I want to know more. Talk about the challenges in your career.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the challenges of a DJ career is actually to have a DJ career at all. That means like to get into the music industry so you can make money out of that. And in the beginning, as I told you before, I was playing at local clubs, and that was kind of like a residency job. So I couldn't really live out of that. And at a certain point after my studies and everything, I wasn't a real job, but music and making music and DJing had always been my passion. I wanted to do something like 24/7 related to that. And so I had to find people who actually would support me, would work with me. And I tried to grow a little bit of a network. I started in Germany. I played in different clubs. So, and then I started having a booking agent, which helped me to get bookings in Germany and the neighbor countries, like let's say Austria and Poland. And yeah, then I started working on productions to put my name out there, you know, to make people know this is Thomas Gold, this is my sound.
Okay, so the most challenging part in the career is literally or actually get into the music industry.
Yeah, it's to be known, to be acknowledged, you know, that people really, because there's so many people out there who make music, and the industry, you have to get in there. Labels have a limited space for people, and you have to stand out in some way, and at some point you need someone to take you in, like a mentor or someone who takes you under his or her belt. And this is what happened with me a couple of years ago. So it was like kind of like the breakthrough for me when I got my an international booking agent, and he put me in touch with a couple of great DJs, and they took me under their wings. So everything started from that point on. But I had to get to that point, and it took me a lot of time and patience and learnings until I hit that point.
Of course, of course. And also one of the things that I've noticed or been notable over the past 2 years, it's about fusion music, which became quite popular actually over the years. However, I would like to hear your thoughts of fusion music and mixing the Eastern and like Western music together as a DJ. What do you think?
I mean, at the end, music is or connects the world to me. This is something I experience whenever I go traveling, and which I really like about my business, my job. So wherever you go, the music connects people from any country. If I go to India, if I go to Australia, if I play in America, if I play in I don't know where, you know, like it's always the same. People love music, and the styles are not that different when it comes to commercial dance music, because it always follows a kind of like a certain pattern. And of course the regional differences are there, but this is the interesting thing. You can mix and mash and fusion actually everything within the music, and this is the great thing. There's no limits at all. So we are actually working on a track, some guys together with me, with and like a very oriental sounding flute sound, and we include that into a European sounding production, and we make it sound like one. And this is the cool thing. You can try anything, and this is very popular in the music business, in the electronic music, that you just mix and mash everything, which is great. And also gives people a little bit of insight into other cultures, I would say. Yeah, you know, if you hear sounds which you don't know actually from being in your country, you hear them in some kind of production, then you say, hey, what's that kind of Brazilian rhythm, for example? Like a lot of Brazilian drums are being used in electronic music because they are kind of like powerful. You can create tribal and driving beats with that. That's one thing. And then you have like Eastern sounding instruments a lot, which give a certain kind of like spice to a normal production. So everything's possible, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was listening to you, and at the same time, I was just looking at the questions. I have to wrap it up, but I just picked one randomly. First of all, as you've noticed that we're speaking English, I don't understand any other languages. Please, I wish I knew. All right. All right. Okay, was Thomas having DJ as his passion or a dream to become a DJ?
Absolutely, 100%. It was when I got into the age that I found out there are DJs out there, there are people who make music and play. I was instantly in love with that, and I always wanted to be a DJ. Yeah, it was my vision and my dream, and obviously it came true.
Yes. All right, another question. So, Thomas, why don't you make music like Got to Know?
Yeah.
Why don't you make it?
I mean, Got to Know is the track I put out a couple of months ago, and actually the track I just played to you is similar in the arrangement, in the structure, and with the sound. So this is maybe a follow-up to that. And there's another one coming out beginning of next year, which might be in the same ballpark as Got to Know.
Okay, so I want you to listen to some of my stuff. Probably you will be interested in. How do I be able to contact you, and how do I send demos to Fanfare or to your email?
Fanfare Records, that's my label. I mean, the first thing is, if you want to send me demos for Fanfare, for the record label, which I'm running it. I'm the A&R, so that makes sense. You can go to the website fanfare-records.com and drop the demo there, or you send it to promo. That's an email address. You send it to promo@thomas-gold.com. That's it. But if you don't want to, you go to the website of the Fanfare website, and there's a demo drop. And I'm going through all the demos myself.
Listening to what he said, so there are lots of other questions.
No problem.
We made it eventually. And
We went through it, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I'm so glad, actually, you've been my first DJ on my show. I really appreciate that we've been in touch over the past few months. I hope to meet you one day in reality here in Australia or somewhere in the world, who knows where. Before I'm going to wrap it up, is there anything that you want to say and probably I didn't ask you about?
I mean, I just want to say thank you for all the support to the people out there who listen to my music, who sent me stuff. And I just, I'm grateful to the people out there because they make it actually possible what I'm doing here, you know. So I'm really realizing that so often. And also I want to give a shout out to all the people out there. Just keep it up, keep safe, stay healthy. Let's try to get over this all together. I mean, it's not easy for many of us. And what to say? I mean, it's like, keep your hopes up and try to be as creative and positive as ever possible. It's not always possible, but yeah, just try to get over it. That's my way of thinking. You know, sometimes you have to see the positive aspect of stuff, even if it's not always in front of your eyes. And at least it helps you within your mind, like getting over stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope you liked the conversation.
I liked it a lot, and finally we made it, so I'm super happy about that. Thanks for everyone who's watching, and I hope to see you guys somewhere soon live.
All right, you take care. I'll catch you soon.
I do, and you too. Bye, guys. Bye, Borna. Ciao.